NBA history is filled with countless what-ifs. What if Derrick Rose never suffered such a horrible knee injury? What if LeBron had chosen to sign with the Bulls rather than the Heat? What if all-time greats like Steve Nash or Carmelo Anthony just had one other piece on their team that brought them to a championship and changed their legacy forever? What if Giannis or Embiid were drafted by a different team? How would their careers turn out differently? These are all questions that will be answered in this video series as I resimulate the NBA from the 09-10 season up until the current year as we watch together as history writes itself. If you would like to watch me do this live, go to my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/bigbird4. The link is at the top of the description. For this series, I recreated the entire 09-10 roster from stars to benchwarmers to free agents. I calibrated for every single factor for each player, including ratings, contracts, their player growth potential, and even appearance. If you want to get a more in-depth look at the roster I made, here's a video I made on that where I go through each team and show you all the players I included. The Denver Nuggets won back-to-back championships in 2010 and 2011, beating out the 76ers both years. Melo won consecutive Finals MVPs as well, despite Chris Bosh joining the team in the 2010 offseason. The Sixers had added Dwayne Wade the same offseason, and have consistently been at the top of the Eastern Conference since. However, in the 2011-2012 season, they lost to the 8-seed Bobcats led by Paul George. The Utah Jazz ended up winning the championship this year, as they had signed LeBron a year prior. Some other major changes are Durant teamed up with Curry in Golden State, Tim Duncan joined the aging Wizards, and Chris Paul joined the Spurs, who lost Parker to the Miami Heat. This is the first year that multiple Hall of Famers retired, including the likes of Shaquille O'Neal, Allen Iverson, and Ray Allen. Some other big names include Grant Hill, Jerry Stackhouse, Rasheed Wallace, Peja Stojakovic, Andrei Kirilenko, and the GOAT, Brian Scalabrine. Rick Carlisle also hung up his coat and decided to retire. The Rockets jump up in the draft odds and end up with the first overall pick, followed by the Mavs and the Cavs. With the first pick, the Rockets select Damian Lillard. The Mavericks get Anthony Davis with the second pick, and Cleveland drafts Bradley Beal. The Sixers draft Andre Drummond with the fifth pick, finally getting a much-needed big man. The Bulls get Draymond Green with the 21st pick, and with the 22nd pick, the Magic get Chris Middleton, a fantastic pickup for a team who just made the NBA Finals. This free agent class is less exciting than previous years, but there are a few standouts. But Kyle Lowry, Aldridge, Kevin Garnett, Nate Robinson, Vince Carter, and a lot of these guys are aging too. Gilbert Arenas, Danny Green, Raymond Felton, Lou Will, Wes Matthews, Steve Nash, Louis Scola. Oh my god. By the end, not too much had changed from the previous season. The Bobcats had signed Gilbert Arenas to go alongside Nowitzki and PG. The Kings made moves and signed Zach Randolph as well as Nate Robinson, which combined with Gordon Hayward and DeAndre Jordan were looking to make the playoffs this year. After suffering injuries in the past two seasons, Carmelo regressed hard this season, dropping by 4 overall points. But the Nuggets team still looked solid. The next big signing was Aldridge to the Pacers, where he joined the ranks of Granger and Klay Thompson, as well as Raymond Felton, who signed during free agency. The Spurs, doing everything they could to keep CP3 on the team, signed Kevin Garnett, and were hoping to be a dark horse contender this year. To start off the season, the reigning champs were at the top of the Western Conference after 20 games, followed closely by their conference final rivals, the Thunder. The Warriors were in third, followed by the Timberwolves, who snuck up to the 4th seed. Chris Bosh got injured early in the season, as he tore his MCL, and caused the Nuggets to drop down hard. In the East, there's a bit of a power vacuum as most of the NBA's talent had gone out west, resulting in the Pacers being the top seed, followed by the Milwaukee Bucks as DeMarcus Cousins is averaging MVP caliber numbers. Fast forwarding halfway through the season, the Rockets jump up way in the standings and take the number 1 spot in the West as rookie Damian Lillard proves why he was the number 1 pick, and takes the starting position from Mike Conley. In the West, the Bucks are at the top of the standings, as Boogie continues his MVP level production. This year's All-Star team had quite a few new selections. In the West, Westbrook finally makes his first appearance, as well as John Wall, Gordon Hayward, and rookie Anthony Davis. In the East, Kyle Lowry makes his first appearance, as well as his first starting position, as he has now become the sole leader of the Celtics franchise. Sophomore Kawhi Leonard also makes his first appearance as well. The West are finally able to secure a win this year, and KD takes home the All-Star MVP trophy. To end the season, LeBron robs the Most Valuable Player award from Boogie, making this his third MVP. To no one's surprise, AD wins Rookie of the Year. What is surprising is Eric Bledsoe winning the sixth man for the Nuggets, who ended up not even making the playoffs this year. Dwight Howard yet again wins Defensive Player of the Year, and Norris Cole wins Most Improved after becoming a true offensive threat for the Brooklyn Nets, who had just moved to New York this year.
Playoffs begin in New York City.
Out west, the Jazz secured the first seed and would be facing off against the Timberwolves, who had a decent season behind the big three of Paul Pierce, Al Jefferson, and Kevin Love. Unsurprisingly, the Jazz blew them out in 4 games, as they had no answer for LeBron and Deron Williams. The next matchup was the 4th seed Rockets against the 5th seed Spurs. The Spurs were yet again missing CP3, who was out with injury, but so was the Rockets' Damian Lillard, who was a dark horse Rookie of the Year candidate. However, behind Vucevic, Conley, Luke Babbitt, and a handful of role players, the Rockets pulled off a victory in 5 games. The 13th Warriors were facing off against the Kings. This was expected to be an easy series for Golden State. However, Sacramento was able to pull off a victory in Game 1, and things were looking iffy for the Warriors. They won the next 2 games, but in Game 4, the Kings won by just 1 point. In Game 5, the Kings blow out the Warriors and take a 3-2 lead in the series. Sure, the Kings had Hayward, Randolph, and Nate Robinson, but that should not have been enough firepower to outplay 2 of the greatest scorers the NBA has ever seen. After their unfortunate exit in the second round the previous year, the Warriors were looking like an embarrassment, and would need to bring their A game to come out of the series alive. The Warriors were down by 1 with 30 seconds to go, and the Kings have possession. Robinson decides to go for the 2-for-1 3, but misses it. Zebo tries to tap it back in, but misses as well, and the Warriors go on a fast break the other way. Durant finds Duhon by the basket, and he lays it in, giving Golden State the lead. The Kings decide to respond with a pick and roll between Hayward and DeAndre Jordan, but Jordan can't finish next to the rim. The Warriors inbound it to Duhon, who comes in clutch and knocks down both his free throws. With 7 seconds to spare, the Kings are out of timeouts, but still manage to get the ball up to Gordon Hayward, who knocks down the contested 3, tying up the game. The Warriors still have a timeout, however, and drop a plan for Durant on the cut, who catches an alley-oop and dunks it down, giving the Warriors a W, at least in Game 6. Game 7 is another close one, as Golden State is up by just 1 with 50 seconds to go. Durant pulls up from the elbow, however, on the fast break, and hits the shot straight in Hayward's face. Hayward comes back up the court and finds Nate Robinson at the 3-point line, and he ties the game up at 106. Monta Ellis takes no time to respond, and lays it in on the other end. The Kings call a timeout, and decide to give it to Hayward for the ISO. However, he fumbles the bag, and he has to pass it off to Robinson, who misses the wide-open 3 for the lead. The Kings foul Curry, who of course scores his free throws, and the Warriors narrowly squeak by in the first round. The last matchup of the West was another close one between the Lakers and Thunder. The Lakers, despite being the 7th seed, took a 3-1 lead to start the series, but the Thunder came back and ended up winning the series in 7 behind some stunning performances by Westbrook and Harden. In the East, the first seed Sixers faced off against the young, scrappy Brooklyn Nets, led by Brook Lopez and sophomore Jimmy Butler. The Nets were miraculously able to push the series to 7 games, but with the addition of Drummond in the paint, the Sixers team didn't have any flaws holding their team back this year. The next matchup was the Pacers and Raptors, and this series wasn't much of a contest as Klay Thompson, Danny Granger, and Aldridge make fools out of the young backcourt of DeRozan and Kemba Walker, and win the series in 5 games. The Bulls, despite losing Aldridge, still ended up with the 3rd seed as Derrick Rose averaged the best numbers of his career. They were able to crush the Hawks team in 5, who yet again disappointed in the playoffs. The last series of the East proved to be a matchup of the ages, as DeMarcus Cousins will be facing off against his greatest competition, Dwight Howard. Despite making the finals last year, the Magic had dropped to the 7th seed this year due to lack of depth, and the Bucks had flung through the regular season behind Boogie's MVP caliber performance. Despite being guarded by the Defensive Player of the Year, Boogie ups his points per game and his rebounds during the playoffs, and managed to take a 3-2 lead to start the series. Game 6 ended up being a close one, but the Magic barely pulled off the victory, winning by just 8. Game 7 was another tight one, and the Magic were only up by 1 with 30 seconds to go. Jarrett Jack jukes out his defender and lays it in next to the rim, increasing the Magic's lead. The Bucks call a timeout and decide to use the attention the Magic were giving Boogie to their advantage, and are able to feed Kid Gilchrist nice and easy for a layup next to the hoop. The Bucks fouled Jameer Nelson, and with ice in his veins, he knocks down both his free throws. The Bucks throw the ball in and abandon any plans that were drawn up for them, resulting in Tony Allen trying to score the game-tying basket, which he did not, and the Magic would be continuing on as the 7th seed.
And welcome everyone to the NBA Conference Semifinals on ESPN, presented by Wells Fargo.
Out west, the Jazz finish off the Rockets in 5, as Dame still isn't able to return to the court, and LeBron and Duran take full advantage. But that isn't the matchup people tuned in to see. Everyone wanted to see the Thunder take on the Warriors in the second round, 2 years running. Last year, the Thunder had gotten their revenge on Durant for leaving, and beating the Warriors in 7 games. This year the teams look nearly identical, and Durant and Curry are both looking to run it back. While they both had great regular seasons, both teams had very nearly gotten knocked out in the first round, and it wasn't clear who would come out on top. Game 1 was a pretty close match, as the Warriors were up by 2 with under a minute to go. Durant had fouled out previously, so it was up to Curry to win this game. He's able to find Tristan Thompson in the paint, and he finesses Gerald Wallace to get the lay-in. The Thunder call timeout to advance the ball, but Harden's pass gets picked off by Curry. He flies by all the defenders, makes it a 6-point game, and the Thunder can't come back despite Westbrook's clutch 3. In Game 2, Curry goes cold and ends up with just 11 points, and the Thunder tie the series up. Game 3 is another close one, as the Warriors are down by 2 in the last minute. Despite Durant and Curry being on the floor, Monta Ellis decides to step up this game and hits 2 clutch layups, one after another, to take the lead for Golden State. The Thunder call timeout and decide to go with Westbrook, who pulls up from the elbow and drills it, tying the game. Despite Ellis' hot hand, the Warriors get petty and feed Durant for the next possession, giving him his chance to stick it to his old team. And, would you believe it, he delivers. Westbrook comes back down and lays it in while being smothered by the defense. There are now just 15 seconds left on the clock, and the Warriors decide to go back to Ellis, who had scored 12 of his 16 points in the fourth quarter. He surveys his options at the top of the key, and has Thompson run over to give him a screen. Aldridge isn't quick enough to switch off, and Ellis wins the game for Golden State. The Thunder respond in Game 4 and score 142 points behind an amazing performance from not just their stars, but their bench as well, as Keon Dooling scores 20 points in just 21 minutes, and Rudy Fernandez scores 25 in 28 minutes. Their bench has another big game in Game 5, and take a 3-2 lead. Game 6 ends up being close, but the Warriors win it by 6 behind Durant's 30 points. It all came down to another Game 7.
Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy D Lloyd. So tonight is finally Game 7 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Golden State Warriors, man. I've been waiting for this game since Game 6 against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, this is going to be a tough matchup. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park at all. Definitely think it's going to be a very close game, going down to the wire, and then, it's going to be interesting to see how Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook handle the game down the stretch.
The pressure on the Golden State Warriors and Thunder were like, maybe you give a little bit more to the Warriors just because they were this team destined for greatness.
And I think Golden State will pull off a win here at home tonight.
They did it. The Warriors won, and their fans cannot have been more ecstatic.
What did I tell y'all? The Warriors are not going to only come back down 3-1 in the series. The Thunder are going to be getting exposed for the fucking fraud basketball team that they are. How the hell do you like them apples, OKC fans? How the hell do you like them apples, OKC hypebeast? Westbrook is your only fucking hope, and that's not even gonna be enough, bro. The Warriors are a fucking dynasty. Steph Curry, you are loved. Curry, your fucking entire family is just goals as fuck. Your daughter is beautiful. Your son is fucking cute, bro. Bro, the Warriors are fucking not playing no games, dude. How do you mean to tell me you have a 3-1 lead in the series? Warriors about to take this shit, bro. LTC Thunders fans, bro, all y'all need to go fucking drink some bleach, bitch. Hold this fucking L, bitch. Hold this fucking L, bro. Curry is the...
Out east, the Pacers put up a good fight against Dwayne Wade and company, but the Sixers won in 7 games. Last season, the Magic had embarrassed the Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals and swept them in 4 games. This season, the Bulls were looking to get their revenge, and this time they had Derrick Rose, healthy and ready. Each team took a game in Chicago, and Game 3 in Orlando was a close one. With a minute to go, Rose drives in off the rebound and lays it in with Dwight Howard towering over him. Vince Carter takes it back the other way and lobs it to Dwight on a pick and roll. Rose and Biyombo run the same play, but Rose decides to pull up for a jumper. Biyombo runs to the rim and slams down the miss. Magic call a timeout and run a play for Vince Carter, who ties it up with a lay-in. There's now just 19 seconds to go, and the Bulls have possession. Rose dribbles it out and finds Corey Brewer, who just came off multiple screens. Carter stays with him though, and was able to get a hand in his face, but that didn't matter, because Brewer still knocked down the shot. Carter tries a full court lob, but misses, and the Bulls would win Game 3. Game 4 was another close one, and came down to this last play. The Magic were down by 2, and inbounded to Jameer Nelson. They tried to pass around a few times, but can't seem to find an open man. The ball ends up back in Jameer's hands, and he has to chuck it from 3-point land, but can't make it, and the Bulls take a 3-1 lead. Game 5 was a blowout, and the Bulls would get their revenge, winning in just 5 games.
It's trust in the ride here, and loyalty to the goal. You are in my way, and I am not slowing down.
Sit down, be humble.
Unfortunately for the Bulls, their conference finals curse would continue, and the Sixers would blow them out in just 4 games. This was huge for the Sixers, as they would be making their 3rd finals appearance in just 4 years. They had faced the Nuggets both times before, who had been far better than them both times. This year, however, the Sixers looked like they might finally have the advantage. Sure, they struggled in the first 2 rounds, but with this sweep against the Bulls, they showed how they could dominate. Holiday, Iggy, and Wade made for one of the best 2-way trios of all time. They also had Gay and Drummond to finish out the starting 5, and had one of the best 6 men of all time in Lou Williams, who was struggling this playoffs but had the potential to go off any given night. Out west, the Warriors would finally get their opportunity to prove themselves in the conference finals, but no one believed in them. After how they had nearly lost to a rookie Kings team, and only just managed to defeat the Thunder, they looked pathetic against the Jazz, who had swept their competition in the first 2 rounds. However, the Warriors came into play in Game 1, and ended up beating the Jazz by 4. The Jazz would come back to win Game 2, but the Warriors again showed up and took a 2-1 lead behind 30-point games from Curry and Durant. Everyone expected LeBron to show up in Game 4 and dominate, which he did, scoring a 29-point triple-double. However, his effort wasn't enough to stop the duo of Curry and Durant, who again go off for 30 each, and things are looking real shaky for the Jazz. The story for them this series has been LeBron not performing to his usual playoff standards, and pitiful performances from their role players. Troy Murphy and Enes Kanter were both averaging less than 7 points a game, and Michael Redd seemed to just be chucking up shots this season, and had a field goal percentage of 33% in the playoffs. Deron Williams is balling out, but he was the only one who was performing above expectations. The Jazz are able to pull off a win in Game 5, but lose a heartbreaker in Game 6, and the Warriors will be making their first finals appearance since the 1970s.
Welcome to the NBA Finals.
If you had told Philadelphia they'd be facing the Warriors at the start of the conference finals, they would have been ecstatic. However, with how Curry and especially Durant had stepped up against the Jazz, they were truly worried. The Sixers may have had some great perimeter defenders, but they didn't have anyone tall enough that could truly contest Durant besides Rudy Gay, who has never been known for his defense. This would prove to be a real issue for them in Game 1, as Durant lights them up for 31. Alongside Ellis and Curry, who both scored 25 points. Durant goes off again in Game 2 for 44, and the Sixers were really shaking in their boots, having lost the first 2 games of the series at home. For Game 3, Philadelphia decides to put Iguodala on Durant, and this seems to work as they limit him to just 25 and 40% shooting, and they would get their first win. In the first quarter of Game 4, it looked like the Sixers were going to dominate yet again, but Durant breaks 3 vertebrae in his back after a hard hit from Iguodala, and he would be out for the series. Despite his injury, Curry would take the burden on his shoulders, and came out with a 38-point showing, winning the game by just 8. The Warriors may have had a 3-1 lead, but they were anything but guaranteed a victory. Their best player was out for the series, and the Sixers had all-time defensive stoppers to guard Curry and Ellis, the only real threats left on this Warriors team. Game 5 ended up being a close one, with the Warriors up by 3 with a minute 40 to go. However, Curry had fouled out, and the Sixers fully planned to capitalize. They feed Wade for the post-up, and he hits the sweet fadeaway right over Ellis' head. On the other end, Ellis gets his revenge by jumping higher than he ever has in his life, soaring above the rim to slam it in. So far in this game, Curry has played abysmally, and only had 5 points. The only reason they were still in this was because of Ellis' lightning performance. The Sixers demonstrated their chemistry and passed the ball around the court, finding Perry Jones wide open for the easy lay-in, making it a 1-point game yet again. Maggette breaks a 3 on the other end, giving the Sixers a chance to take the lead. Iguodala drives in, and Duhon steps down to help, leaving Holiday wide open on the 3-point line. Iggy passes it off, but Holiday gets unlucky with the bounce and misses the shot. Ellis comes back the other way to find Stackcheck wide open on the fast break, and he slams it in. The Sixers come back and manage to find Drummond for a lay-in on a 2-for-1, as there were still 30 seconds left to go in the game. The Warriors call a timeout. Duhon dribbles it out, but the team executes their play horribly, and Iguodala is all in Maggetti's face as he takes the 3. Philadelphia grabs the rebound and calls a timeout with 5 seconds on the clock. It all came down to this moment. Philadelphia hadn't won a championship since 1983, and if Wade couldn't pull off a victory this time around, he would be a laughingstock. The Sixers were far and away a better team, and had no excuse to be losing to the Warriors without Durant in 5 games. Steve Clifford had drawn up a play for Wade to get up into the 3-point line, but the Warriors defended excellently, and cut off the chance for Drummond to pass it to him. The Sixers were panicking, but Holiday was able to cut towards the rim with all the attention drawn to Wade. Drummond feeds it to him and he gets to the paint, the defense all around him. He throws up a fake, and another, and then goes straight up. The ball bounces on the back of the rim and bounces out. This may have not been the outcome that was expected, but the Warriors defy all odds to win a championship. Durant and Curry have proven themselves to be the new faces of the NBA, both only at 25 years of age. However, the real shining light in the series was Monta Ellis, who stepped up from being just a third option and their go-to scorer in their time with the team, and would win Finals MVP. Things were looking bright in Golden State, and they would go home as champions, proving to all the doubters that they were the real deal. The NBA is truly in great hands, and the following season has so much to offer. Giannis and Gobert are both rookies this year, and are projected to be late first-round picks, so it'll be crazy to see what playoff team ends up with them. Also, there are so many young teams with insane potential, like the Mavs with AD and Valanciunas, the Nets with Lopez and Jimmy Butler, Pacers with Klay Aldridge and Whiteside, Rockets with Lillard and Vucevic, Trailblazers with John and Kyrie, and of course the Thunder and Warriors. Also, a lot of teams seem to be falling off, like the Nuggets, Wizards, Spurs, Lakers, and Hawks. The Nuggets still have insane talent in their squad with Melo, Bosh, Lawson, Bledsoe, and even a young Tobias Harris. But they didn't even make the playoffs this past year, so who really knows what will happen with them? I honestly have no clue who will win next year. Looking throughout the league, it seems like most of the top players are tied down with big contracts. But there are some that aren't. Iguodala, Westbrook, Dragic, Love, and Rose are all free agents, and can make a real difference depending on who they sign for. Right now, my money is on either the Jazz or the Warriors, as they both still have their core all signed down for at least the next year, but I really don't know. It all depends on this offseason. My hope is for the Spurs to win big this offseason, but they're tied down with some big contracts and aging players like Garnett and Ginobili, and Paul is already regressing for some reason, so my hopes aren't high. But that's going to wrap it up for this video. I'll be streaming the 13-14 season live on my Twitch channel on Saturday, June the 12th, so come out and watch it live. It's a lot of fun. I only cover the highlights of the season for these videos, and there is so much more to see if you join the live stream. When I say I made every player in the game, I mean every player. Believe it or not, Perry Jones, the dude who scored the clutch layup for the Sixers in the finals, he's a real dude who never did much in his career, but not in this series. I can show you any team or any player you want to see to check out how their career is progressing. Amari Stoudemire? He's still on the Suns, averaging 15 and 7. Ben Gordon? He got traded to the Wizards and is down on his averages, only scoring 14 a game. Elton Brand? He's still in the Sixers, but he's so bad he didn't play a single minute the whole season. This is the kind of stuff you can find out if you join. The link again is twitch.tv/bigword4, but it's also in the description. Hope to see you guys there, but if not, I will see you in the next video. Oh, also check out my political and gaming channels. I've got those in the description as well. Alright, that'll do it for the showing for this video. Peace.